I never thought a simple shift at the grocery store would end with the entire store staring at me in complete silence.
Everyone inside the store thought it was just another ordinary day, until one rude customer walked in. His words were sharp, his tone dripping with arrogance, and the way he mocked the young cashier left the entire line stunned. But what happened? Just moments later turned the whole atmosphere upside down, and no one expected it. Stick around, because this story will shock you. And hey, if you enjoy true-to-life stories with powerful lessons, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. It was a quiet afternoon at a small neighborhood grocery store. The aisles were calm, the faint sound of soft background music filled the air, and the cashier, an 18-year-old college student named Jordan, was carefully scanning items for customers. Jordan wasn't just working for extra cash, he was helping his single mother pay rent. He carried a quiet determination, the kind most people overlook, but it showed in his polite smile and the way he greeted every customer with respect. Most people liked him. Regular shoppers often stopped to chat, complimenting his patience and kindness. That day, however, things would be different. Near the back of the line, a man in an expensive suit tapped his foot impatiently. He checked his watch over and over, sighing loudly, as if the world itself was moving too slow for him. Other customers noticed his irritation, but no one said a word. The man's presence carried an energy that made people uneasy. Jordan, meanwhile, stayed calm, scanning items, and thanking each person who came by. For him, it wasn't just about the job. It was about treating everyone with dignity. But dignity was exactly what this man had no intention of showing. As the suited customer moved closer to the counter, the air seemed to shift. A woman holding her child stepped back slightly, sensing what was about to happen. The people in line didn't know his name, but they could already feel his arrogance. Jordan didn't notice at first. To him, it was just another customer, another smile, another hello. But within seconds, the man would make sure everyone in that store remembered him, not for his wealth, but for his cruelty. It was a quiet afternoon at a small neighborhood grocery store. The aisles were calm, the faint sound of soft background. Music filled the air, and the cashier, an 18-year-old college student named Jordan, was carefully scanning items for customers. Jordan wasn't just working for extra cash. He was helping his single mother pay rent. He carried a quiet determination, the kind most people overlook, but it showed in his polite smile and the way he greeted every customer with respect. Most people liked him. Regular shoppers often stopped to chat, complimenting his patience and kindness. That day, however, things would be different. Near the back of the line, a man in an expensive suit tapped his foot impatiently. He checked his watch over and over, sighing loudly, as if the world itself was moving too slow for him. Other customers noticed his irritation, but no one said a word. The man's presence carried an energy that made people uneasy. Jordan, meanwhile, stayed calm, scanning items and thanking each person who came by. For him, it wasn't just about the job, it was about treating everyone with dignity. But dignity was exactly what this man had no intention of showing. As the suited customer moved closer to the counter, the air seemed to shift. A woman holding her child stepped back slightly, sensing what was about to happen. The people in line didn't know his name, but they could already feel his arrogance. Jordan didn't notice at first. To him, it was just another customer. Another smile, another hello. But within seconds, the man would make sure everyone in that store remembered him, not for his wealth, but for his cruelty. The man in the sharp suit finally reached the counter. He placed his basket down with a loud thud, as though he wanted the entire store to know how impatient he was. Jordan looked up with his usual smile. "Good afternoon, sir. Did you find everything you were looking for?" The man scoffed, shaking his head. "Obviously not. This place barely has anything worth buying, but I suppose I'll make do." His tone was laced with sarcasm, dripping with superiority. Jordan nodded politely and began scanning the items. Bread, milk, a box of cereal. Nothing unusual, but the man wasn't finished. "You know," he said loudly enough for the people, in line to hear, "this is exactly why I hate coming to places like this. Undertrained staff, slow service, and cashiers who probably don't even know how to count change." The customers behind him shifted uncomfortably. Some exchanged glances, silently wondering if they should say something. But no one did. Jordan, though slightly stung by the words, kept his composure. He had been taught since childhood never to argue with rude people. His mother always told him, "Respect is free, even when others can't afford to give it back." "Your total comes to $23.46, Jordan said softly, ignoring the insult. The man rolled his eyes. "Figures. And I suppose you'll mess up the change, too. Do you even know basic math?" He chuckled cruelly, leaning back like he had just made the funniest joke in the world. A young boy in line tugged at his mother's hand, whispering, "Why is he being so mean?" The mother hushed him quickly, but her eyes were fixed on the man with clear disapproval. Jordan counted the change carefully, handing it over with both hands, his voice steady. "Here you go, sir. Have a nice day." But instead of leaving, the man smirked and pushed the coins back across the counter. "Try again. I bet you got it wrong." At that moment, the entire store seemed to pause. The arrogance had reached a boiling point. And within seconds, something would happen that not only silenced the man, but left everyone else in shock. The voice came from halfway down the line. It was deep, steady, and carried the kind of authority that instantly made everyone turn their heads. A tall man, dressed in simple work clothes, stepped forward. He had grease-stained hands, the kind of hands that told you he worked hard every single day. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His presence alone shifted the energy in the store. The rude customer in the suit sneered, unimpressed. "And who exactly are you supposed to be? Another cashier in training?" But the tall man didn't flinch. He locked eyes with the arrogant customer, his jaw tightening just slightly. The people waiting in line held their breath, sensing something bigger was about to unfold. Even Jordan paused, unsure of what was about to happen. The tall man finally spoke, his words cutting through the tension like a knife. "You've had your fun, but now it's time you learned what respect really looks like." The store went completely silent. The background music seemed to fade, the hum of the air conditioner felt louder than usual, and everyone's eyes flicked between the rude customer and this unexpected challenger. The man in the suit laughed nervously, trying to brush it off. "Respect? Don't lecture me about respect. Do you even know who I am?" But his voice didn't carry the same confidence anymore. His words trembled slightly, betraying a crack in his arrogance. Jordan stood frozen, gripping the counter. The young boy in line leaned closer to his mother, whispering, "What's going to happen now?" The tall man took one step forward, his shadow falling across the counter. Then, with calm certainty, he said something that would change everything. And, in that very moment, everyone in the store realized they were about to witness something they would never forget. The tall man's words hung in the air, heavy and deliberate. "Respect isn't about what you wear or how much money you make. It's about how you treat people, especially those who serve you." The arrogant customer chuckled weakly, trying to recover his swagger. "Oh, save me the motivational speech. I don't take life advice from—" He gestured dismissively at the man's oil-stained shirt. "People like you." That was the breaking point. The entire line erupted, not with chaos, but with silent, united disapproval. Every pair of eyes locked on the rude customer, no longer intimidated, no longer silent. The tall man leaned closer, his voice calm but firm. "People like me? People like him?" He pointed to Jordan. "We're the ones who keep this world moving. Without cashiers, without workers, without mechanics, drivers, and builders, you wouldn't last a single day in that shiny suit. The crowd stirred, some nodding, others whispering, "That's true," under their breath. Jordan's heart pounded. For the first time, he didn't feel alone behind the counter. The rude man smirked, but his confidence was crumbling fast. "You don't know who I am. I could buy and sell this whole store if I wanted to." The tall man shook his head slowly. "And yet, with all that money, you still couldn't buy character." The room went silent. The arrogant man's smirk faltered. His face flushed red, his hands trembling slightly as he tried to gather his groceries. But the silence around him wasn't empty. It was judgment. Every person in line was united in quiet defiance against his cruelty. And then, the most unexpected thing happened. The woman with the child stepped forward. Her voice was soft, but steady. "My father was a cashier for 30 years. He raised 4 children with that paycheck. Don't you dare insult people who work hard to serve others." Another voice chimed in, this time from the delivery driver in line. "I work 16-hour shifts just to feed my family. People like us make sure people like you can live comfortably. You owe him respect." The rude customer looked around, realizing the tide had turned completely against him. Every face in that store, mothers, workers, students, even the young boy, was staring at him with the same expression: disgust. Jordan finally found his voice. He didn't yell, he didn't insult. He simply said, "Sir, we're done here. Please take your groceries and leave." The man froze. For a moment, it looked like he would argue, but the weight of the room pressed down on him. He gathered, his items clumsily muttering under his breath, and stormed toward the exit. His footsteps echoed through the silence. And then, the silence broke. Applause. It started with the tall man, then spread to the mother, the driver, and soon the entire store was clapping. For Jordan, for the dignity of hard work, and for the reminder that kindness always outweighs arrogance. Jordan's eyes watered slightly, though he tried to hide it. The tall man gave him a reassuring nod. "You handled yourself well, son. Don't ever forget, respect is earned, not demanded." For the first time that day, Jordan's smile wasn't just polite, it was real. As the clapping faded, the atmosphere inside the store shifted from tense to warm. People returned to their carts and bags, but something lingered in the air, something deeper than just relief. It was a shared understanding. What they had just witnessed wasn't just a clash between a rude customer and a cashier. It was a reminder of human dignity. Jordan stood behind the counter, his hands still slightly trembling. But instead of shame, he felt pride. For once, his job wasn't invisible. People had seen him not just as the cashier, but as a young man working hard to build a future, holding his head high despite cruelty. The tall man gave him a pat on the shoulder before leaving. "Don't let anyone make you feel small for being honest. Remember, the loudest voices often belong to the weakest hearts." Those words would stay with Jordan for a long time. The mother with her child smiled as she walked past. "You're a good example for him," she said, nodding toward her son. The boy gave Jordan a small wave, his eyes wide with admiration. In that moment, Jordan realized the truth. Respect doesn't come from money, titles, or expensive suits. It comes from how you treat people when you think no one else is watching, and the entire store had been watching. The rude customer left with his groceries, but he also left with something else, an unshakable silence that would remind him of his own behavior. Perhaps he would never admit it, but he had been humbled. The moral of this story is simple, yet powerful. Every job matters. Every person matters. Whether someone is ringing up your items, fixing your car, or delivering your packages, they deserve kindness. Because at the end of the day, it's not wealth or power that defines you, it's respect. So the next time you meet someone working hard to serve others, remember what happened in that small grocery store. Remember Jordan, and choose kindness. And if this story touched you, even just a little, share it with someone who might need this reminder. Subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories that reveal the best and sometimes the worst of human nature. And don't just watch, be part of the change. Because respect is contagious, and it starts with you.